This morning, horror in Gooseberry Hill, a woman fighting for life in hospital after being stabbed multiple times. Shock video, a P-plate driver's reckless decision dodging bollards in Coburn. Hey, it's Saturday legend John Blackman dies, remembering the radio and television star. And the winter sensation set to illuminate Kings Park, where and when you can visit.
This is 7 Morning News, live from Perth, with Charlotte Goodlet.
Good morning, thanks for your company. A woman is fighting for her life in hospital after a horror stabbing at her home in Gooseberry Hill last night. A 72-year-old man known to her has been arrested and fronted court this morning. Nick Overall has the details.
It was just after 5 o'clock last night that neighbours here on Jessie Drive discovered the 60-year-old woman with stab wounds to her torso and neck. Those same neighbours gave her first aid while police rushed to the scene. 5 ambulance crews arrived and took the woman to Royal Perth Hospital. She underwent emergency surgery overnight. This morning she remains in a critical condition. It's understood the 72-year-old man barricaded himself inside the home but was taken into custody later in the night. Residents on the street here say he lived with the woman. This morning they have described her as a kind and caring person.
She's a very warm lady, definitely. Yeah, she does a lot of work with the church as well. She does, she is a very nice lady. You just don't expect something like that to happen.
Home is meant to be the safest place, and if you can't be safe there, then it's really horrible to have to live like that and know it's always possible that you could end up in that situation.
The man now faces one charge of attempting to unlawfully kill.
The Minister for Prevention of Domestic Violence says reforms might be fast-tracked but were already underway before recent deaths in WA. Sabine Winton yesterday met with the head of the state government's Family and Domestic Violence Task Force. In the wake of claims, warnings about Floreat gunman Mark Bombara were ignored.
I reassure victims and I encourage victims to come forward. They will be heard, they will be believed, and they will be supported.
She says an internal investigation must be finished before any criticism of police decisions in the weeks before Jennifer and Gretel Patelches were shot dead. Shocking video has been posted to social media showing a red P-plate driver hooning through a shopping centre car park. You can see 3 passengers sitting on the window ledges of the Hyundai i30 as it dodges bollards in Coburn. It has outraged people online, with many horrified over the reckless behaviour. The Reserve Bank Governor hasn't ruled out further rate rises if inflation doesn't come down quickly enough. As Isabel Mullen reports, the fresh comments have created a new wave of concern for borrowers.
Well, Michelle Bullock didn't mince her words this morning, saying inflation needs to be back down within target before the Reserve Bank considers cutting interest rates. That's safely within the target range of 2 to 3% set by the RBA board. Inflation is currently at 3.6%. The cash rate is at 4.35%. But what is concerning is that Michelle Bullock says we aren't actually feeling the full impact of the most recent rate rise of 0.5%. We should feel that in coming months. The economy is slowing and inflation is falling. But at the moment, families are feeling the pain of both high interest rates and high inflation.
Everyone is hurting because of inflation. Yes, I can say that if it looks like inflation is coming back down, the board will be looking to lower interest rates at an appropriate point in time. If inflation doesn't come down, then we do have an issue. If it doesn't look like it's getting there, then we will have to take action.
The RBA board is next expected to meet in a couple of weeks, but at this point, interest rates aren't expected to be cut.
A Dianella school is concerned about plans for an asbestos waste dump only metres from classrooms. St Andrew's Grammar School has started an online petition, worried the dump could harm kids. The council is against the change of use by Brackovich Landfill and Recycling, but it doesn't have the final say. The matter has been referred to the WA Planning Commission. The Immigration Minister is considering whether to overturn a ruling that spared deportation for a convicted kidnapper with ties to gangland figure Tony Mockbell. A tribunal decision restored his visa under the controversial Direction 99 ordered by Andrew Giles. Here's Andrew McCormack.
A feared Melbourne convicted gangland criminal has been spared deportation thanks to a loophole in this now controversial Directive 99. The Administrative Appeals Tribunal overturned the visa cancellation of Kevin Ferrugia, a known associate of gangland identity Tony Mockbell. He himself is a convicted criminal with a total of 12 years behind bars, 40 convictions for things like drugs and firearms offences, kidnapping along with assault. As of Monday, he can remain in Australia once his current prison term ends next year because of what is deemed to be deep ties to the Australian community. The 51-year-old is a Maltese national but has spent most of his life in Australia, having come here as a child. It places more pressure on Immigration Minister Andrew Giles. Giles himself has hit back at Peter Dutton's calls for him to be sacked, claiming Dutton could have cancelled Ferrugia's visa when he was Immigration Minister in 2019. But this is just the latest flashpoint in this ongoing visa debacle.
Medibank is being sued by the privacy watchdog over a breach that exposed the personal details of 9.7 million current and former customers. Hackers stole the information in 2022 and posted it to the dark web. The Australian Information Commissioner says the insurer failed to take reasonable steps to protect the data. If found guilty, the company could face fines of more than $2.2 million for each violation. Doctors' appointments have dropped by 3 million visits this year as clinics across the country slowly abandon bulk billing. The bulk billing rate has now fallen below 80%, despite the government tripling incentive payments for GPs. The Australian Medical Association says consult rebates would need to be doubled to properly boost bulk billing rates. He was a household name, an Australian radio and TV star, best known for his roles on Hey Hey It's Saturday. But after a long battle with cancer, John Blackman has died at the age of 76. Blake Johnson takes a look back at the entertainer's life.
John Blackman died yesterday afternoon. It's believed he had a heart attack after recent surgery, but he was texting friends and former colleagues yesterday morning, so his death comes as a surprise despite battles with cancer over the years. He was best known for his voiceover work on Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Gareth, I read a book on helium once. I couldn't put it down.
John Blackman was the voice behind character Dickie Nee, who popped up on screen to crack jokes.
Well, those glory days of Hey Hey, often you didn't see him, but his presence was always felt, and he was almost like a lion up in that voiceover booth, waiting to pounce, hoping something was going to go wrong, and either he with his own voice or the Angel or Dickie Nee would jump in, and I've got no doubt that Darryl will be the first to say he was really the backbone of that show.
He was also on radio for years. Fellow host Darren Hinch paying tribute. He handled his illness so bravely. We had some huge rows, but he was the fastest ad-lib man ever.
And a lot of people are going to a voiceover booth, they're hopeless without a script. John would prefer to not have a script. He loved it when things went wrong because that would allow him to really exercise that brain, and he would always come up with a funny line.
In 2018, John Blackman had extensive surgery to remove cancer in his mouth and jaw, but it reappeared 4 years later. John is survived by wife Cecile and their adult daughter. John Blackman was 76.
You're watching Seven's Morning News live from Perth. Still to come, the winter sensation returning to Kings Park, when you can visit. And the American rapper sued for sexual harassment by his former assistant. Those details next.
We were repeatedly ignored.
One of the most harrowing interviews I've seen in my 4 decades delivering the news to Perth.
7 News goes further.
Common sense suggests there's danger.
To bring you the truth behind the stories that affect us all.
There should be enough water.
7 News at 6.
We've been given our first look at a world-class attraction set to illuminate Kings Park. It takes around 90 people more than 3 weeks to assemble Lightscape.
No one Lightscape is the same. No one Lightscape has the same atmosphere or pieces in it.
There are new additions to this year's extended 7-week run, being a 70-metre tunnel of hearts, Technicolor rainbow paths and giant fibre optic flowers, as well as the return of last year's crowd favourite, the Sparkling Winter Cathedral. An adult ticket costs $36, kids are $28, and it will cost a family of 4 $120 for the 90-minute experience. Lightscape runs from June 7 until July 28. The US President's son, Hunter Biden, returned to court today as opening statements were delivered in his criminal trial. He is facing 3 charges tied to the possession of a gun while using drugs. Today, the court heard about his battle with addiction.
The US President's son, Hunter Biden, facing a criminal trial and the prospect of jail. The First Lady, Jill Biden, joining him at the Delaware courthouse to show her support. Prosecutors kicking off the case with a message to the jury: no one is above the law. Inside, members of the Biden family listened as prosecutors accused Hunter of lying to a gun dealer to purchase a firearm in 2018. Prosecutors attempting to prove he was a drug addict and lied about it on the background check for the .38 caliber handgun. They're doing that by using his own words.
Mainly, however, we just planted ourselves on the couch and smoked a ton of crack.
Playing audio clips from his memoir.
By now, I possessed a new superpower. The ability to find crack in any town at any time, no matter how unfamiliar the terrain.
You will see that he is not guilty, the defence argued. The form asks whether you are a drug user. It does not say, have you ever been? The defence telling the jury his state of mind should be considered at the time of purchase, not what he wrote in a book in 2021. Hunter Biden is facing 3 charges tied to possession of a gun while using drugs. He's pleaded not guilty. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Rapper Kanye West has been named in a sexual harassment lawsuit by his former assistant. Lauren Pisciotta has accused him of sexual harassment, wrongful termination and breach of contract, among other accusations. It's claimed the rapper repeatedly sent sexually graphic text messages and engaged in lewd behaviour in front of her. West has called the allegations baseless and has filed a counterclaim. Narendra Modi has secured his 3rd consecutive term as India's Prime Minister. As Ashley Mullaney reports, he may have won, but it wasn't the landslide victory he predicted.
Narendra Modi has claimed a historic 3rd term in India's election, but it wasn't the landslide victory he was hoping for, 400 or so seats. Instead, his government has lost its majority and forced to form a coalition government. Still, there was confetti in the air when Modi arrived to deliver his victory speech overnight. An election in India is unlike any other election in the world. It is a huge logistical undertaking that takes a marathon, 6 weeks of voting, almost 1 billion eligible voters. 2024 has been the election year, with some 50 countries heading to the polls and, of course, still the UK and America to go.
The happiest place on earth could soon be a little bit closer if a Melbourne MP is successful in their bid to bring Disneyland to Australia. Sarah Jane Bell has the details.
The question on everybody's lips is Frankston about to become the happiest place on earth? Since people found out that the Disneyland executives were looking around Melbourne as a possible spot for the 7th Disneyland, well, several spots have been touted as the next location, from Werribee to Fisherman's Bend, but they've all been just as quickly shut down. But now a local MP down here in Melbourne's southeast, well, he says it turns out it is a small world after all, and all the best possible locations are all in his electorate, from Cranbourne to Frankston and Dandenong. Here is what the Frankston locals think about the possible idea.
Probably a good idea, but sounds like a bit of a joke, actually.
100%, yeah, definitely. So right on the beach, right on the boardwalk, and yeah, why not?
Sure, go for it. I think it'd be cool. Something for people to come down to. Why not? Get the community involved.
Local MP David Limbrick has brought it up in Parliament, asking for the Tourism Minister to set up a meeting with the Disneyland executives, but so far no word on whether Mickey and Minnie are moving to Melbourne.
Stay with us on 7 Sport with Ben Cousins is coming up after the break, including Harley Reid's first tribunal date, the latest on the verdict. And Novak Djokovic's shock departure from the French Open. Those details coming up next.
7 News knows Perth.
Headlines flash by all day.
But to know the news, watch 7 News at 6 o'clock.
And here's why.
Our reporters are newsbreakers.
The man in the back of that police car was arrested right here on the side of busy Belia Drive.
With more exclusive reports
that dig deeper
and demand answers.
We commit to travel to wherever the stories happen, even the front line.
Chris Reason from Channel 7 Australia.
As international news unfolds in Europe.
We're live to you at 6 p.m.
Breaking down the global issues that matter back home in Perth. 7 News understands that
our reporters travel from suburb to suburb.
It happened at Point Walter
and across our state to bring you the news.
This show only in June to
This is the team we trust.
And thank you
for trusting 7 News.
You're watching 7's Morning News. Ben Cousins joins us now. Ben, Harley Reid learnt his fate at the tribunal last night.
Charlotte, the result wasn't what the Eagles' young gun or club wanted to hear. His ban will remain at 2 games. Reid's dangerous tackle on St Kilda's Darcy Wilson was graded as careless conduct, high impact and high contact. The teen sensation is ineligible to win the Rising Star Award. Reid will return in the Eagles' round 16 clash against Hawthorn. The Western Bulldogs won't rush back midfielder Ed Richards from concussion for Friday's clash with Brisbane. Better news for Tom Liberatore though, who's been cleared to return from his concussion battles, which has seen him sidelined for a month.
Yeah, he's missed a bit of footy though, so we've been conservative, been ultra conservative with him, but as far as head scans and all that, he appears fine.
Young Bulldog Riley West had his suspension cleared at the tribunal. Novak Djokovic has withdrawn from the French Open. Having been pushed to 5 sets in his last 2 matches, the world number 1 revealed on social media that he has been secretly battling a knee injury. Yannick Sinner will replace Djokovic on top of the rankings and become Italy's first world number 1 after advancing to the semi-finals with a straight sets win over Grigor Dimitrov.
A special moment for me, and I'm very happy to share this all with you guys, all the guys who are watching at home, especially from Italy.
Sinner's semi-final opponent is Carlos Alcaraz, who defeated Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets. Women's world number 1, Iga Swiatek, thrashed Marketa Vondrousova 6-love, 6-2 to book a semi-final date with American Coco Gauff. Only a medal will do for the Matildas in Paris. Mackenzie Arnold is one of 8 Aussie squad members who'll become triple Olympians in Paris. But just being there is not enough. The Aussie goalkeeper says this group has the talent to go for gold.
We really believe in ourselves this time, and I think it's something that is so very achievable, and we're just going to try and take one game at a time and hopefully get over that last hurdle and get a medal this time.
The Matildas begin their campaign against world number 2 Germany on July 25. That's all in sport this morning, Charlotte. More at 4 and 6 o'clock.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Ben. We do have more rain on the way. I'll have your full weather forecast next on 7's Morning News. See you after the break.
You might have heard that you need $1 million to retire comfortably. Well, it's just not true. Super, tax, investments, estate planning, and how to get the most out of Centrelink. In the West's new video series, I'll share tricks and tips to give you the retirement you've been dreaming of. The West has you covered, so you can relax and retire ready.
No Perth. No WA.
More than 170 calls for help.
Know the news. 7 News at 6.
Checking the weather now, it's currently 21 degrees in our city and we're expecting a partly cloudy day with a top of 23. Around the suburbs, Joondalup is heading for 24 degrees, slightly cooler along our coast, 22 the top in Rockingham. As for the rest of the week, the rain does return tomorrow. We're expecting a wet and stormy afternoon and evening with up to 25 millimetres of rain. Just a shower or two on Friday, but the weekend is looking very wet indeed. Some late showers coming on Saturday. Even heavier on Sunday with up to 45 millimetres predicted, and the rain will stick around for the start of next week too. Well, that is 7's morning news for this Wednesday. Thanks for your company. Stay with us. We'll have the latest updates right across the afternoon and, of course, in our main bulletins at 4 and 6 o'clock. I'm Charlotte Goodlet. Enjoy the rest of your day.